1, 2, 3.
Hello, welcome to Rock the Cash Bar. I'm Ben Mowbray.
And I'm Dianne Gallagher.
Every week we pick one song and do a deep dive into the lyrics and explain the different ways they've been interpreted.
We will also discuss how the song connected to us on a personal level, focusing on all the embarrassing details.
Glad to have you here. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Cash Bar. We took a long break between Christmas and New Year and whatnot. How are you, Dianne?
I'm great.
Yeah. Did you have a good holiday? How was Ireland?
It was magical.
Yeah.
I mean, the weather was great. We just went to pubs and drank Guinness and took my mom to see all these castles and cliffs and slid down a rainbow naked and made friends with a leprechaun. I found a pot of gold.
Did you?
No. I didn't
What happened?
I didn't go to Ireland.
No.
It was so hard to put up the podcast of New Year's Day being like, I'm in Ireland right now, like hearing myself say those words. So this might be a long podcast, you guys, and it might be a good thing because we may not have a podcast next week, and I'll tell you why later. But oh God, there's so much to say, and I have so much like leftover anxiety. I had a terrible Christmas break. And I'm trying not to make it too long, but I'm gonna tell you the series of follies that happened, like why my trip got so ruined. And I'm such a self-hater. I put so much of the front end on it, on me. Like I made a huge mistake that made the trip fail from the beginning. So, okay. We're going to Ireland. The night before, I didn't sleep very well, and I just had this pit in my stomach, like something was wrong. I wasn't excited. I just something felt so off. And that morning, like we're driving to the airport, my mom's driving and meeting us, and first thing I get a message from her Uber driver breaks down. And we're like, great, here it goes, here's how we start. My mom has anxiety and she's never flown internationally before, Oh, and it's Christmas Eve. And there's bad weather. Everyone's flights are getting canceled. Everyone's getting delayed. That's probably part of it,
Yep.
So we get to the airport very early. We don't have a big security line. Everything's fine. And Corbin and I go to check our bags. My mom has a checked bag and so do I. And as I'm handing my bag to the guy, Corbin looks at me. He goes, "Is that bag scheduled to go on our connecting flight to Ireland?" And my stomach drops. And I look at him and I'm like, no, we booked two separate flights. I booked a flight from Houston to New York months ago. We sat down with Corbin's dad, who has a house in Ireland, and he was helping us book these. We did not book through Aer Lingus a whole flight that connects through JFK. We booked a separate flight to New York, which is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever done, and booked separate flights to Ireland from New York.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized our mistake in that moment. And I'm like, no, this bag is going to New York and that's it.
You can't blame yourself. Like, I mean, that's, I mean, yeah, it's a rookie mistake, but you are an international traveling rookie. Like, that's the same kind of mistake I would make. I never fly anywhere.
Well, and the thing is Corbin's dad does a lot, and he may even do this, but he never checks a bag. He only has carry-on. So he wouldn't have thought of it either. Because he was sitting next to us when we booked these flights. No one thought of it. And we realized, like, we know our flight's going to get delayed. And I'm like, we only had a 2-hour window once we get to Ireland to get on the next flight. So my stomach drops. And so we go sit at our gate and we start seeing the delays. Like, it's delayed. And then, so Corbin's frantically looking. And then we're like, oh my God, where our plane is going to pull up at JFK is 2 gates away from our flight to Ireland. Like, it's in the same terminal. They're right next to each other. And I'm getting pissed at myself because I'm like, if we had done it the right way, our bag would go right onto that plane. No issues. Mm-hmm. But we know that I have to run downstairs, get our checked bag, go back up through security and try to get on that flight. And we're like, it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. And it didn't. Our flight was delayed. I had 30 minutes at JFK on Christmas Eve downstairs Me and my mom are sitting there waiting for the bag carousel to turn, and Corbin had stayed up with Charlie just in case, and he was like, "They're calling our names. This flight is gonna leave." And I was like, "Okay, we missed it. We missed the flight." And security was miles long. I mean, we had TSA pre-check, but my mom didn't. Like, we couldn't leave her.
Yeah.
So I'm just sitting down at baggage claim looking at my mom, and I'm like, "We've missed this flight, and it's my fault." So we go to the counter at Aer Lingus, and they are, I mean, it's mayhem. And they are like, "We can put you on standby for a 9:30 flight to Dublin." We were supposed to fly into Shannon, but we're like, and she's giving me this look like, "There's four of you, it ain't gonna happen." Like, and she's like, "But I'm gonna put you on standby. Come back to this desk at 8:10 and we'll find out if we got you on this flight."
Right.
So we get all of our bags, and luckily the TWA hotel, if you don't know anything about it, is this amazing revamped 1960s boutique hotel that they have at JFK. I've been before. It's incredible. And we know it's there. And so we're like, let's go over there, get a drink, get something to eat, and wait until 8:10. And we get over there and sit down, and I just burst into tears. Like, I just lose it because I'm taking all the blame. And I was like, two checked bags just ruined our Christmas. And my mom has never flown internationally before, and she was so excited for months, talking about it on her Facebook. All her friends were excited, and I'm just bawling because I ruined it. And, you know, my mom and Corbin are trying to be so helpful, and they're like, "Look, we're going to make the best of it. We're going to rent a car. We're going to go to Maine. We're going to go to Portland. We're going to do all these fun things instead. We're going to salvage this Christmas and make it better." And I'm like, "Okay." And like, okay, so we're sitting at the most photographed part of this hotel. It's got this big, beautiful red 1960s lobby, and I am bawling uncontrollably. And these people keep coming up and just taking pictures. So there was a crying woman in so many people's photographs of the TWA hotel. So I have Charlie take because Charlie's been to this hotel. I'm like, "Take Mimi down and show her around this hotel. There's so many cool things to look at." And I sit there and cry, and Corbin goes and gets me a beer. So we come up with all these like backup plans of what we're going to do. And so I was like, "All right, it's 8:10. Let's walk over to that counter." And just basically I'm like, "Let's go cancel the flight," is what's going to happen. She's going to tell me we couldn't get on, and we're going to cancel the flight. So everybody brings their luggage. We walk. They stand away from me, and I start walking to the counter, and there's this long line. And then the woman sees me, and she just points. She's like, "You get over here. We got you. We got you." And I'm like, "What?" And she just starts. She's like, "Call your family over. Give me your passports now." And she's like, "We got you."
You, the crying woman. Yeah, the sobbing one. Come on.
Yes, you with the puffy eyes and the big red nose. And so I just look at my family stunned, and I wave them over, and I'm like, "We're going to Ireland." And they, at this point, I think they had checked out of the idea, and they're like, "What? Like, we're exhausted. We're crying. We are off on another trip." And I was like, "No, we're getting on this plane." So it was two seats. Corbin and Charlie were like two seats, like rows and rows ahead, like 12 rows ahead of us, and me and my mom. And so we have to hurry though. Like, this flight's gonna leave. And so like she gives us our new boarding passes, and she's like, "Go." And like we have to go through security, and like we're like, like looking, and I'm literally like running to the thing. We get to the gate, they're already boarding, we get on, and I've never been on a plane this big. It's one of those that has like 6 seats in the middle, and then 2 on the side, like 2 aisles. Sorry, I'm out of breath, I've been sick. On top of everything else. And so we get on this plane, and it's so uncomfortable. It's so tight, and I'm so exhausted. I'm so tired, and I'm thirsty. I haven't had any water. I had like half a beer, but I'm like, "Oh, please just get this plane in the air so I can just get a sip of water. I'm so thirsty and so stressed." And I mean, my legs, it cramped, and so is my mom. And I'm like, "I'm not going to be able to sleep on this flight. I've been through too much, and I'm uncomfortable." So the pilot comes on, and he's like, it was so windy outside, like such bad weather. And he was like, "All right, you know, we are going to hit some bumps on the way up, and then it should level out. We'll hit some bumps again about halfway through, but you know, otherwise it's going to be a smooth flight." And I take a Valium. I'm like, "All right, I'm going to see if that helps me sleep and calm the fuck down. We're on the flight. We're going. It's going to be fine." On the ascension, it sounds like if you hit the biggest pothole of your life and your tire explodes.
No.
We're going up and all of a sudden it's like boom, boom. I mean, huge. Where I'm like, what the like I don't know what this is, and my volume is hitting. Oh, it took us forever to go. Like it was a
Uh,
lot of traffic, so it was enough time for my volume to fully hit, which I think is a saving grace because I may have had a real nervous breakdown. There are explosions happening. We are hitting like bumps, bumps, and it was like 9 of them. And we immediately
no.
level off. And
My heart would explode. Like I can't handle taking off and landing. Like I get like real stress balled. I don't know. I would die. I would faint. Like something would happen. I
the
would have to like
volume
hide in the
saved.
bathroom. I would be hugging the nearest stranger. Like,
So I'm so kind of out of it with the volume, and no one says anything. We level off and the plane goes really quiet and no one is saying anything. We fly for like 10 minutes and he doesn't talk to us. And I find out later we were dumping all of our fuel over the ocean so we could land and not explode. Um, but I knew something was wrong. And here's what's crazy about Valium, like it calms your brain, but my subconscious always knows. And my legs were shaking uncontrollably. And I kept trying to like rub them and be like, we're fine. And like, I was like, maybe turbulence feels different in these big planes. He said it was going to be bumpy and he said it's extremely windy. Like maybe no one knew. No one knew what
mhm.
was happening except for people on the right side of the plane who saw the fire. I'm so happy I was not on that side.
Oh my god.
So he comes on after 10 minutes, and when I hear the crew, I just hear, well, unfortunately, and I'm like, my heart sinks. I'm like, what? And he's like, what you heard was, we had an engine go out, and we've been told there's a little fire. So I'm like,
Okay.
the plane's on fire. The engine was on.
Exercise in minimizing the damage. There's a little fire.
There's a little
Nothing to
fire.
panic about.
Um, and he's like, so unfortunately, we're not going to be able to continue this flight, and we have to turn around and land back at JFK. But he was so calm, and he's like, there will be no issues with the landing. It's gonna should I see a smooth landing, and we're just gonna land. And he's just like apologetic and apologetic. So
Mhm,
again, no one on the flight there's no one saying a word. I mean, a
mhm.
few ladies behind me say something and they start laughing, and it was a whole plane full of Irish people just trying to get home for Christmas. And they're like giggling. I think they're just like, all right, fuck it, no Christmas for us, like of course, it was that kind of laugh. And I actually wasn't freaking out because I don't know, I remember seeing a YouTube of them saying like, you can lose engines, you can lose your second engine, you can lose your third and still fly. But I'm still
Doesn't mean you want to try it.
no. And he's like, we'll be on the ground in 10 minutes. And it's the longest fucking 10 minutes of everybody's life. And it's so dark outside and I'm sitting on the side that's facing the ocean. So it's just black out there and I can't see anything. And then I'm stretching to see the other side of the plane when I can finally see the lights of New York. And I didn't see any smoke. Everything looked clear. And I was like, all right, I think we're okay. Just, let's just fucking get on the ground and just fuck Ireland. This isn't happening. And we land and it's a smooth landing. And when we land, that plane that had been silent erupts into like people are crying, people are clapping, people are like, thank God. I mean, there was a guy right on the other side of my mom just bawling into his hands.
That
And,
probably would have been me. Yep.
and that's when my whole body started shaking. I was just like, it's, when you're in the stress, you're in fight or flight or you're just in survival mode and you can't stress out yet. And once you realize you're fine is when it all fucking hits you. And I am shaking uncontrollably. And as soon as we land, it's like we barely land and stop on the runway. And there's like 15 fire trucks coming at us out the windows. And I'm like, are we on fire? Are we on fire? And I can't see it, but I was like, and people, when we were ascending, my mom and everybody on the plane was like, what does it smell? Like they could smell the fuel.
No. Yeah.
I don't remember smelling the smell, or at least I was like, planes smell sometimes. I don't know.
Mhm.
But The fire trucks were precautionary, and I think they were coming to check and make sure there was no little flame or anything and
Yeah.
get it out.
But either way, that's about the scariest thing you could possibly expect to see when you're on a runway.
And so Corbin finally texts me and he's like, or I think I text him first and I'm like, is Charlie okay? And he's like, fine. It didn't
Yeah.
phase my child at all. Because I didn't want him having like, anxiety now. And he was
Mhm.
like, are you okay? I'm like, my whole body's shaking. It's fine. But I'm okay. And, I started tweeting about it. I was taking pictures of the fire trucks. I was just happy to be alive.
Yeah. I'd be afraid of
And
the stampede, like 200 people trying to get off a plane that has only two doors.
mm-mm.
Like that crush would be terrifying.
We were like, okay, so we don't get off the plane for another 3 hours. We land and we don't move. Like they are, making sure, the plane's not on fire, but the guy was like, listen, it's the biggest travel day of the year. And they weren't expecting us back. There's no gate for us, not one. There's no gate for us to pull up into. So we sit on that plane for 3 hours, like on that runway with all of our anxieties. And I could not understand. I did not see one flight attendant. I am thirsty for or like three and a half hours now. I am stressed. I am parched where I'm like, give us free alcohol at least. This is a plane full of Irish people. Are you out of your minds? Give us booze. I mean, not even a sip of water. So
The flight
finally,
attendants were. I'm sure they were just with the bar card, just like forget it. That's it. So workday's over.
I
4 hours of getting drunk now. Thank you very much.
and they were like, they had sent a lot of ground crew home. And so, okay, finally, I'll try to move the story along. Finally, we get to a gate. They were like, finally, we're getting off this fucking plane. They get us to a gate and they can't let us off the plane. We sit at the gate for another hour. And so I'm like, God damn it, get us off this plane. And we finally get off the plane and nobody knows what to do. It's chaos. We're getting off and they're just letting us in that little, area at the gate. And they're like, we don't know what to do with you yet. Just stay here. And everybody's asking questions. And I finally am like, are they going to just give us our bags? Like, we're done. We're fuck another flight. I'm not getting back on that plane no matter what you do to fix it. And they're like, yes. And they're like, go down to Carousel 6 and go get your bags. And so the whole flight goes down there. And this is maybe after midnight.
Mhm.
Our bags don't come off that carousel till 4 a.m. And it's cold down there because, the doors are opening and closing as people are leaving. As soon as we got down there, I sent my whole family to the TWA hotel to get rooms and go to sleep. I was like, I'm wired. I'm going to sit here and wait for the bags. And I stayed for till 4 a.m. when our bags came. And I know. And so, the next morning we wake up, we're like, you know what? We're alive. Corbin gets a confirmation to rent a car. And we're like, we are going to drive back to Houston and take our time and sightsee along the way. Maybe we'll go to DC, see the Smithsonian. Maybe we'll do this. We're going to go. We've never been to the Carolinas. We were just like, let's just go. Let's just have an adventure. So we get all of our bags this next morning. We check out. We get on the train on JFK and go to the car rental place. Corbin, we walk in and the woman looks at his confirmation and she's like, yeah, there's no cars. There's no cars anywhere. There's no cars in all of New York. You can go to Jersey. There's no cars. Nobody has cars. And Corbin was like, I'm just going to go outside and scream real quick.
Yeah.
So we get back on the train, go back to the terminal, and Corbin is able to get us a room in Manhattan at the Westin. And we just were like, we're going to make the best of it and have Christmas in New York and just figure out how to get home. Because there's no flight.
All four of you in the same room?
No, we got two rooms. And here's where, having privilege comes in. We were able to get nice rooms and our family in one, my mom in her own. And we could get flights back home on Delta Wednesday. So, and this was Friday. And we're like, we'll just make the best out of it and make the best trip we can in New York. Sarah and Joe came out to visit us. Very nice. Sarah Talamash, Joe List. Thank you guys so much. It was nice to see somebody. It was just for a brief moment. And then, but the next morning, we woke up and Charlie's whole ear is covered in blood. He's bleeding from his ears. My child is bleeding from his ears.
But like turbulence, like was it popping from the
we didn't know. We're like, did he bust an eardrum on this? Like, what
Uh-huh.
happened? And so I call his doctor at home, and she's like, "Girl, go to urgent care." Like, so I
Yeah.
don't know, because
Mhm.
I was like, if he has a busted eardrum, can he get on a flight home? We can't get home. And we go. It's swimmer's ear because a couple of weeks before we went, we took him to Galveston, and something gross got in his
Yeah.
ear, and so he had to get antibiotic drops. He's fine. We're like, okay, his eardrum's
Yeah,
not
his
busted.
eardrum's not busted. There's just a small animal chewing on his brain.
It's
Nothing to worry about.
it's just a little bacteria making his ear
Mhm.
covered in blood on his pillow. Because we're like, really, this is what I need? An urgent care trip in Manhattan after all we've been through.
The
Uh,
emergency room in New York on Christmas Eve. Good times, good times.
so we made the best of it. We did some escape rooms. Everything was so crowded. We saw the big dumb fucking tree like 5 times.
You do an escape room when you're trying to escape a burning plane.
And so yeah, we finally get home. Oh, and here's the best part. Corbin surprises us the flight home. He gets his first class ticket, so we're real
Yeah.
comfortable. And
Mhm.
I get on and immediately start talking to the guy next to me, and he's a pilot. And he was like a Navy pilot. And he's
That's right. A naval aviator.
yeah.
Sorry.
He goes through with me everything that happened on my flight. He's like, these planes fly themselves. What we are trained to do is get you on the ground safe when shit like this happens, basically.
Mhm.
And so he walked me through everything that happened, and he made me feel a lot better because I was like, I don't want to have flight anxiety for the rest of my life over this. And
I would.
well, I was talking to Joe List, who's a comedian that travels every day for 20 years for his job. And I'm like, have you ever had anything weird happen? He's like, not once, ever. Shit. So it takes forever for our plane to leave. So I'm telling this guy next to me our whole story, and he's telling me everything that happened. And everything's fine. And we're ascending and to come home to Houston. And about the point where it blew up our last plane, I looked at the guy and I was like, about here is where it started happening. And he looked at me, he goes, oh yeah, that's not ideal. I was like, shit. He's like, you need all your engines working well, and that's when it needs it the most. He's like, if it had happened once you guys had leveled off, kind of no big deal. He's like, that wasn't great, actually.
That's the worst case scenario right there. Oh my God.
So
Otherwise,
I'm gonna post a video on here. Luckily, someone that like on the coast of New York heard our plane take off and heard the explosions. And I don't know if it was their ring cam. No, they were filming it. There is video of my plane taking off, and you can see it's really far away, but you can see the fireballs like coming from the engine. And when I saw that, I was like completely re-traumatized again because I didn't know the fire was that big. Like the flames
oh my
were that
God.
big.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I didn't see it.
I didn't know you were in the air. I thought like the engine had caught fire when you were on the runway. I didn't realize it. Oh, holy shit.
Mm-mm. And I'll post that video here.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, and that you in the video, the plane's so little and far away, and it's huge fire. The people that were on that side of the plane that saw it, I don't know how they weren't screaming. But they were just like watching fire go past their window.
Yeah.
Like,
Thank God they didn't. I mean, that would just cause mass panic in the cabin.
yeah, I'm like a meerkat. Like, what is it? So
Just that
we are.
Irish fatalism just taking over, just looking out the window with the burning engine, just like, well, this is how it ends.
And then I keep punishing myself like two checked bags. Two
Mhm.
checked bags. We would have been in Ireland. I will say Corbin's dad was like, hey, the weather was horrible the whole time you guys would have been here, and everyone in Ireland got sick. He got sick, everyone, and I was like, it's okay, we got sick too. We came home and we've been blowing snot out of our noses ever since.
Yeah.
And you got sick.
I did. My whole family got COVID. It was wonderful.
Uh-huh. Did you guys all share it at Christmas? Is that where it started?
Yeah, my mom got it right before Christmas, so we were going anyway. It was just like we masked mom up and we put her in a corner. We're like, it's gonna be fine. We're all vaccinated. It was not fine. Like I was down there for a couple of days, and I came back home to my house, and I started feeling poorly, and I was out with friends that Monday night, and I was feeling kind of bad, but I tested negative that morning, and then I tested myself again Tuesday morning. I was like, I'm positive, so I had to start sending out the text messages. And of course, these are my witchy unvaccinated friends, so there's all kinds of upset.
Did they get it? Did you pass
No,
it?
they didn't, thankfully. But it's like a weirdly conflicted thing when you have to tell your unvaccinated friends that you exposed them because like you don't know how they're going to react because like they know that they're at like a certain level of risk, but they're also going to be like, we told you the vaccine wasn't going to do you any good.
It's supposed to keep you out of the hospital. Shut up.
Look at you. You're in quarantine for the next 14 days. And we're
Yeah, it doesn't put a force field around you to stop you from getting it. It just makes your symptoms not so bad. Supposed to.
It's like, all right, you guys can make fun of me, but can somebody bring me a cup of tea? Please. Thank you very much. Love you, ladies.
My body hurts. So today we are talking about a song that was written on a hangover. But it's a perfect song to fucking shake out 2022, and that's what I want to do, and that's why I chose this song.
Yeah, I'm not going to miss 2022. 2022 was a rotten year. I'm going to shake it off as well. I want to give ourselves a big pat on the back because this is one of the very few episodes that we've done from an artist that's entirely in this century.
We've done like Lady Gaga and Beyonce and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but Beyond Destiny's Child was definitely in the 90s. I think it'll be Lady Gaga, Florence and the Machine, and Billie Eilish will be the only three episodes we've done.
I think so. We're climbing our way back up. I mean, this song came out in like 2012 or something like that. I don't know.
Yep. It's still ancient.
It's still old.
We're doing Shake It Out by Florence and the Machine. I love Florence and the Machine. I know I've told this story before, but I want to shade in the details a little bit more if I can.
Yeah.
So I'm working at this bar, and there's a group of strange-looking Englishmen who come in, and I collect strange-looking Englishmen, so we start a conversation, and it's weird. They're drinking bottle after bottle of red wine, and it's the middle of the day. Like, they come in at like 11, and they're there all afternoon, like just talking, laughing, everything like that. We end up having a very good time. And at one point, one of the guys goes, "Hey, Ben, would you like to come see our show tomorrow night?" And I said, "Yeah, I would," because there's a little like rock club near the bar that I was working at. I figured they were playing there. I was like, "Where are you guys playing?" And they look at each other and goes, "Well, we're playing it's called the Woods Mitchell Pavilion or something." I'm like, "That's the big 20,000 seat amphitheater." It's like, who the fuck are you guys?
Who are you?
I'm like, "Well, we're the Machine. We're Florence and the Machine." I was like, holy shit, you gotta be kidding me. Because the restaurant and bar that I was working at was like half a bar, half a restaurant. It was like very like coffee shoppy. So there's no doubt, and this is 2011 or 2012. So there's no doubt that we played some Florence that afternoon. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that right. They must have heard their songs come on there, but they didn't react to it. They couldn't have been nicer. They were absolutely lovely. So I took my sister the next night. We went to the show, and we had great seats. We were just like we're right in the middle, right up front. Florence and the Machine put on a great show. At the time, I was in the middle of a nasty breakup with a very sour woman, and her favorite band was Florence and the Machine.
Oh, so no!
No, I couldn't wait. It was the most malicious I think I've ever felt in a breakup. I just could not wait to put the word on the wire that I had met Florence and the Machine. The guys from the Machine and I are tight. We exchange emails all the time.
My new best friends.
Got drunk in the middle of the day, VIP tickets to the show. I couldn't wait. And I hate to admit it, but my heart is black enough that I still every now and again lick my lips, wondering how much that stabbed her in the heart.
Don't you want the revenge?
Just pure evil. But they put on a great show. Like I think at that time, I only knew, Dog Days and maybe Shake It Out. I didn't really know who Florence and the Machine was, so I was just kind of flying blind, like, all right, I want to go see this big show. And it was absolutely fantastic. Like Florence and the Machine, Florence Welsh herself reminded me of, did you ever see Scrooged with Bill Murray, the Christmas movie?
Of course.
what's Carol Kane plays the Ghost of Christmas Present.
Yeah.
Florence Welch reminds me of Carol Kane as the Ghost of Christmas Present. She is just that
I'm like,
cute.
she doesn't look anything like her. How is that working?
She's that bubbly and she's that sparkly and she's running all over the stage and she's in her great big sweeping ball gowns and she's just she couldn't
Oh.
like at one point she asked she called it a human sacrifice. And really, I didn't know what the hell you're talking about, but that was the cue for all the boyfriends in the crowd to lift their girls up and put them on their shoulders, so that so Florence could get a look at her. She was just so adorable. She's like giving like specific compliments to the women as they're like being like, oh, you're a pretty one.
Oh, I love a girl who is a girl's girl. I love
Yeah,
a woman. I've always hated the girl who doesn't have girlfriends. She's like, I just get along better with the guys. That's always the hoe that sleeps with your boyfriend. I hate women like that. I love a woman's woman.
that is the biggest red flag to me. Is like, do you have a good group of girlfriends? Okay,
Then
if
you're
you
not
don't,
trustworthy. Yes.
yeah. Mhm.
And I'm a tomboy growing up. I have guy friends. I have always had guy friends, but women friends are so important to me. And I
Mhm.
never trusted that bitch that didn't have them.
Florence is also, I mean, there are other women like her in rock, but not many. Because when you think about it, like it's like you say that women are either they're going to be like really sort of, I don't know how to describe it, but sort of like aggressive, like Joan Jett figures, or
Yeah.
they're going to be like sex pots, like Madonna. Like you
Yeah.
don't really have a whole lot of female rock stars who have been able to, I don't know, like maintain their femininity or have or what am I trying to say? Like they either have to become like super aggressive or super sexual. They're not.
Right.
It's hard for a woman to present a femininity that isn't either of those extremes.
Right. I
And
love
she does.
No, I love her. I love her. I love all of her songs. Cosmic Love is my favorite song that she has, and I wanted to do that one, but I was like, no, I want to give a kiss off to 2022, so we're doing this one.
I just want to live inside her hooks. Like the chorus lines that she sings with that. She's not like she doesn't have like Adele's like almost operatic voice, but she does
No.
have a like her voice is big and powerful, but that doesn't seem to be the strength of it to me. Like
Yeah.
there's something about the melody that she puts in it that makes it sound it's almost like an achievable sound. Like, oh, I could feel that coming out of my own throat. So
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
it's
Adele's so good. You're like, I'm not even gonna sing along. I can't match that.
yeah. And she's got that sort of whirly girly kind of thing to it. Like it kind of reminds me of the thing I had for Natalie Merchant when I was 13 and 14 years old. Like
Yes.
it just makes me bad. There's something about Florence Welch that reminds me of just like, you're the kind of lady I'm attracted to.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just like, you're specifically my type. I
Yeah.
know that's me being possessive and projecting and being an awful dude, but there is a little bit of that feeling. It's just like, come
She
talk to me, Florence. Tell me some more.
she projects that witchy thing that you like, and it's that
Mhm.
Stevie Nicks thing, and it's a thing that I do, like the dancing that's swirly and it's very spiritual looking, and
Mhm.
yeah, there's so much about her that's compelling.
Yes. It's the witchy fairy dust. Shall we do the lyrics? Let's
Let's
do
do
the
that.
lyrics.
Regrets collect like old friends, here to relive your darkest moments. I can see no way, I can see no way, and all of the ghouls come out to play.
Regrets collect like old friends, here to relive your darkest moments. I see no way, I can see no way, and all the ghouls come out to play. Yeah,
Regrets, aren't they fucking ghouls?
I've had a few.
I've had a
Like I'm reading this verse and just like, is she describing Friday night at Big Star Bar? This sounds a lot like Friday night at Big Star Bar.
It's just so relatable, and everybody knows what it's like to like we can't let our regrets go, and they do collect and they haunt you constantly.
I was thinking about it when I was reading these verses. Like that's regrets collect like old friends, which is certainly a thing. Like whenever our core group gets together, I'm always a little trepidatious. Like you don't want the old fault lines to crop up, or there's something shitty that maybe I said 15 years ago that I don't want to be held accountable for, like that
Yeah.
kind of thing. But the more I thought about it too, I was just like, hey man, I'm not done racking up dark moments in my life. The great stillness hasn't set in on me yet. I'm still out
Yeah.
there making terrible mistakes.
We're what, middle age now? I have another whole chunk. But here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I am trying to move forward now with less mistakes and makeable regrets.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. This is the thing. Another reason why I chose this song is like I am at a pivot in my life where I'm like, I'm 45. I've made a lot of mistakes and I have a lot of regrets and I am exhausted and I'm tired of making them and I'm trying to move forward now with less. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna say I have a perfect future. I'm gonna make more mistakes because I'm human, but I feel like I have taken my hits and learned my lessons enough now that I'm like I am done
Yeah.
purposefully
I did a very
sabotaging my
similar.
own life.
I had a similar thought, like right at New Year's. In fact, on New Year's Eve, I was at a little bar down the street from my house, and I was smoking a cigarette and having a Grand Marnier, and looking like, what am I gaining from this? So I was thinking about New Year's resolutions, and obviously it's like get healthier, quit smoking, those kinds of basic stuff. I was just like, no, the problem is bigger than that. The goal is bigger than that. So I decided that what I need to do is change my entire perspective. Like instead of being a backward looking person, a person full of regret, I need to be a forward looking person. Instead of being cynical, I need to adopt some wide eyed enthusiasm.
Yeah.
So it's like instead of focusing on quitting smoking and going to the gym every day, I'm just like, no, your outlook has to change every day. Like something like those things will probably help you do that. But what you're fundamentally trying to do is change the way that your head is wired.
It's like using Weed Be Gone. You got to get to the root of the problem too, because
Yeah.
all the other band-aids are just, symptoms of the problem. And this is why I'm always preaching therapy. That's what therapy does, is get to like, why are you doing these things? Let's focus
Mhm.
on the why and let's stop doing that. Yeah.
Yes. Let's get you out of the bad neighborhood in your head.
Yeah.
And every demon wants his pound of flesh, but I like to keep some things to myself. I like to keep my issues strong. It's always darkest before the dawn.
And every demon wants his pound of flesh. Are we talking actual demons? Are we talking mental demons? I think demon is a sub. I think she's just talking about dudes there, isn't she?
I think it's both. I think it's both.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought about that. Like you can see this as you're pointing the finger at a bad person you were with. And that demon keeps coming back to haunt you. But we also have, the little demons on our shoulders, right? Your angel and your demon. And I think about this in the song as it pertains to me is like I'm shaking off that demon that's been feeding me, my own demon that's been telling me to make bad decisions.
Yes. Don't feed the demon.
Yeah.
And every demon wants his pound of flesh, but I like to keep some things to myself. That line kind of makes me giggle a little bit. Like, you're Florence Welch. You don't keep it to yourself. That's not what you do.
I know, but then it makes me like, well, you're open to what are you keeping to yourself?
Yeah. What secrets does Florence Welch have in there?
Yeah, yeah,
You're reading your poetry to 20,000 people a night. You're not keeping anything to yourself.
yeah.
I like to keep my issues drawn. It's always darkest before dawn. That is absolutely the truth.
Is drawn into herself? Is this
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I like to keep my secrets?
Yes, for sure. Yeah. I like to keep my issues drawn within.
And darkest before the dawn. I mean, yeah, that's just a poetic way of saying when you hit rock bottom is when you have to climb your way back up.
Yeah, it's got to get better right after that.
Yeah.
Right after that. No wallowing in that. Don't stay in the darkness.
Yeah.
And I've been a fool and I've been blind. I can never leave the past behind. I can see no way, I can see no way. I'm always dragging that horse around.
I've been a fool. I've been blind. I can never leave the past behind. I can see no way. I can see no way. I'm always dragging that horse around.
That's a big line for me. I can never leave the past behind. And that's something that I really, really have to work on, but it's so hard. Like, and you were just saying, I don't want to focus on the past anymore and the negative, but like, I can never leave the past behind. This is like a pattern of mine of like, say, and I've had it since like junior high. When a bad relationship ends, I stew on it and I stew on it and I want resolve. I want closure and I want resolve. And what I've had to learn so hard over the years is so many times you're not going to get it. You're not going to get that person that hurt you to own up to the pain they caused you and apologize for it. And then I've been guilty of not apologizing for pain I caused to someone else. You want your brain, I think the human brain wants to feel better before you move on. It wants to work out resolve and have closure. And what we learn as humans is that you have to accept that you may not get it, and you have to move on anyway with a little, stone coldness in your heart forever for that person. And
Yep.
accept it.
Mm-hmm. And that is one of those regrets that will collect like old friends. When you get back together with the people who maybe caused you some of that pain, or witnessed some of that pain, or helped you through some of that pain, they're always going to know that it's in your heart somewhere. So anytime you're around them, they'll feel its presence.
That's part of being human, I guess.
Yep.
Always dragging that horse around. That's what that is. Yeah.
All of his questions, such a mournful sound. Tonight I'm gonna bury that horse in the ground. 'Cause I like to keep my issues strong, but it's always darkest before the dawn. Shake it up, shake it up.
All of his questions, such a mournful sound. Tonight I'm going to bury that horse in the ground. Yes.
Bury
I like that. It's
Bye.
very like how specific she is with the pronoun, like all of his questions. It's not all of you. Like you'd think like another lyricist would try to leave it a little more open, like all of your questions or all of their questions.
All of my questions. Yeah, no, she's putting this flat on someone else.
Mm-hmm. We've been through so many songs where the use of pronouns is fascinating me. Not in the way that they shift, but like there's like an artist will talk about with like I statements, and then it'll be you statements following that. Be like, are there different characters in the song, or what's going on here? It's like, no, it's probably just the way that it flows.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know if it's actually something that they put a whole lot of thought into. So I like to keep my issues drawn, but it's always darkest before dawn. And then here comes like maybe one of the greatest hooks of the last 10 years.
Shake it up, shake it up. Oh, shake it up, shake it up. Shake it up, shake it up. Oh, and it's hard to dance with the devil on your back, so shake him up. Oh,
The chorus to Shake It Out is like, when I say that I want to live inside her hooks, I specifically mean the hook from Shake It Out. Like there's just something that just makes your heart sink. Like it makes just everything about you just glow. Like, why can't I always feel like this?
I know. It feels very, and I'm just gonna say it, Taylor Swift's great. I'm not gonna shit on her. It's so close to Shake It Off, Shake It Off. But
Yeah.
that's cutesy, like for a teenager. The way she's screaming this one, like, feels actually freeing. Like I can feel my rib cage opening up and being like, shake it out, like
Yep.
done.
I think it's the organ. I think it's kind of like that sort of like organ arrangement obviously puts you deeply in mind of church. Also, I love
Yes.
like when you're looking up like what kind of band is Florence and the Machine, like the names that you get out. Well, they're chamber pop, they're baroque pop, they're gothic pop, they're opera pop, they're church pop, they're
Church
Catholic
pop. There's a
Like,
lot of like religious aspects in a lot of her music. There's like a lot of like in her lyrics, there's a lot of like religious tones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, she's the witchy fairy lady.
Yeah.
So, so everything she says comes with a little bit more gravitas than Taylor Swift has. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that just her natural English imperiousness?
It's that, and I see her as more of an adult. Taylor feels so young to me, and she's like cutesy, like shake it off, shake it. And
Mhm.
this is a woman, like this is
Yeah.
a grown ass woman singing to me.
I was kind of surprised. Florence is again a little bit older than I would have thought. I think she's in her mid to late 30s now, so she's kind of our age.
Yeah, I mean, Ray's younger than me.
Yeah.
I just keep getting older. It's weird. They're not catching up. They're supposed to catch up.
Oh my.
Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. It's hard to dance with the devil on your back, so shake him off. To me, it's both ways. She's talking about like maybe a specific dude you got to shake off you, or your own bad choices you have to shake off you. And what's funny is that she admits to writing this song on a hangover and also talking about shaking off a hangover.
Yeah, that was my favorite thing about it. She said she wrote it in like an hour and it just came to her in a hangover flood. This
Yeah.
moment of desperation. But how many hangovers have you had that are like that? You know, like I was thinking about, like, as I was, because I write out the lyrics by hand every time we do an episode. As I was doing it, I was thinking about like how many of those like shake off moments have I been through? Like how many times have I promised myself never to return to that bar or that bed again?
Or that type of alcohol.
Yes.
It always reminds me of like one of my favorite Doug Stanhope jokes where people, you drink so much of a certain type of alcohol that you can never drink that one again. And he was like, that's how I plan to quit drinking. Going through each one where he's like an old man carrying around a bottle of creme de coco. Like, that's all he has left. I think he says creme de menthe or whatever. It would be like tequila rose for me because I hate that shit, but that would be the last one on my list.
I never want to work my way down. I've been drinking whiskey and rum for so long. It's never done me anything wrong.
No?
I haven't moved them. Everything. No, look at me. Everything's perfect. And I'm done with my graceless heart. I love that line. I mean, I know it's self-hating and defeating and sad, but it's just I'm done with my graceless heart.
I wish the lyric was... Oh, go ahead.
One of my favorite things to do to people now, because like obviously people ask you, hey, how you doing? Like I really like subbing in song lyrics and I can't wait to have it. Hey, Ben, how you doing? I'm done with my graceless heart.
They're okay. Like, oh, okay, Ben. You just said fine. But it's a very Ben thing. Please don't ever change. I wish the line, and it's just because if I were writing this, I wish it was, and I am done with my graceful heart. Like I wish I didn't have sympathy and empathy and stuff. I want to cut it out and not feel anymore. That's what I would have written if I was writing this song about me. Like I'm kind of tired of being empathetic to people who don't deserve it.
You got to stop that. You just got to find better ways to protect your empathetic self.
I guess so. And yeah, and there are people in my life I've cut out with no empathy because they were real bad and never deserved any of my sympathy and empathy. But then there are some people that I just felt bad for who were also still very bad and didn't deserve it. And I was like, I just wish I could see these things clearer sometimes.
So tonight I'm going to cut it out and then restart. I have definitely felt that. There's so many aspects of my personality that are negative that I don't like. And I see the way that I'm older now, so I see the way that they irritate other people. It's like, I just got to get rid of it. Like, I wish I could just take that part of me and just throw it into the sea.
And you can. I think that's where I'm at too. It's like there are things about me like patterns, and everybody has bad patterns. And when you've hit your own rock bottom with your own patterns and you finally have suffered enough for them, you're like, I am done. I'm not doing this to myself anymore. I'm not doing this to other people anymore. I am done acting like this.
Yeah, I'm tired of being the snake eating its tail. I'm not going to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Because I like to keep my issues drawn, and it's always darkest before dawn. Shake it out, shake it out. Oh. Okay, I won't torture you with that. I apologize. I had to attempt it. I was going to try it once, and then I just did. I won't do it again.
Get it out of you, Ben. Do it. I don't care.
And it's hard to dance with the devil on your back. And given half the chance, would I take any of it back?
Yeah, I think she talks about this in the lyrics too, of like all this like, I'm gonna change, I'm gonna shake it off, and then you have that moment, you're like, probably gonna fuck up again.
Yep.
I'm probably gonna do it again.
It's a fine romance, but it left me so undone. It's always darkest before dawn. Then it's the chorus kind of repetitively, but there's one more important line in the song. Because looking for heaven found the devil in me. Looking for heaven found the devil in me. Well, what the hell? I'm gonna let it happen to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was reading a quote that she had about this song. I'm sure you read it too, where she said it's like the line at the end where she's like, "Well, what the hell? Like, well, you're gonna dance with the devil again sometime, and it might be fun. I hear he does a nice foxtrot."
Yeah, that's so funny. I read that and I was like, oh, Florence, that's great.
Yeah.
He's very deceitful and then or he's can be very charming, you know?
Yeah.
There was a couple of lines we missed and it wasn't a big deal, but I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't. So here's to drinks in the dark at the end of my road. And I'm ready to suffer and I'm ready to hope. It's a shot in the dark aimed right at my throat.
I'm sorry, I did miss all of that. Yes.
It was right before your line, but it's that coming to terms of like, I'm gonna fuck up again, but you know,
Yeah.
just keep trying.
And the real struggle with self-improvement. Like you want to be realistic about what you're actually capable of and what you can honestly leave behind. And
Yeah.
you know, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. You know, if it's like talking specifically about me and the habits that I would like to fix, I don't want to be a smoker anymore. I certainly want to drink an awful lot less than I do.
Yeah.
But I also know that these are the things that have given my life pleasure and in some cases meaning and shape. You know, there's a
Right.
reason why I do it. You know, I don't want to leave that behind because I'll be mournful. I'll be regretful that they're gone. How am I going to fill that time? I have to make sure that I'm doing something good inside it. Otherwise, in an effort to make myself better, I'm making myself worse.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, you're just talking about addiction. Addiction's hard, and addiction raises its bubbly. There are people who don't smoke and drink who think they're not addicts, and I'm like, no, I think everybody is addicted to something, and some people can be addicted to working out, addicted to work, addicted to a certain feeling they get when they're, you know, in certain types of relationships with people. There's all kinds of addictions, and just because it's not drugs or alcohol doesn't mean you don't suffer the affliction. Yeah.
Yeah. Addicted to love.
Oh, there's so many things you can be addicted to that are kind of can go off track and ruin your life a little bit if you don't get it under control.
Yes. This song was recorded at Abbey Road, the famous Beatles recording studio. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Although there's probably so much of the music that comes out of London is recorded at Abbey Road because that's where everybody wants to be. Wouldn't you want to be in Abbey Road? I'm not even a particularly big Beatles fan, but if somebody said, "Would you like for?" Yes, I want to go record at Abbey Road.
I just feel like there's good juju in there. I feel like it's going well.
Think there's anything left in there? Is there a lyric, a chord progression, something like that?
Yeah, really, exactly. Well, and she works with a really amazing person. The said this was co-written by Paul Epworth, Adele, Block Party, like other like she has like good people working with her that they're gonna make good art.
Yeah. I didn't realize that the name Florence and the Machine, I figured it came because Florence Welch is such a striking front woman. I figured like she has to be one of those, like it's either just going to be called Florence Welch or it's going to be Florence and something, right? So I figured the band had just decided, well, we'll just be the Machine.
Right.
That's not true. I guess when Florence Machine first started out, it was Florence and her friend Isabella who sort of formed the band and started making music together. And in their cutesy little teenage nickname ways, it was Florence Robot and Issa Machine.
Nice. Yeah.
And they were just like, that doesn't fall off the tongue. It's way too long to put on a marquee, so they just shortened it down to Florence and the Machine.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I think no one knows that. I feel like you just, Florence and her band is the machine behind her. Mm-hmm. No, that's not it. And that's a fun, trivial fact to learn.
Yeah. Oh, and I didn't mention when the afternoon that I met Florence and the Machine. I guess the reason why the Machine was in the bar all day was because that's sort of what they do. Is they find like the cool part of town that has like the fun retro shops for Florence to go shopping in, and then the band just posts up at the bar all day long. Like that's what they do when they're on the road. Like it was a very normal.
Shopping down 11th Street in the Heights all day while they were at Downhouse.
She was in 19th at the Heights. Well, they were.
She went into Jubilee, which is my favorite little boutique store, and I could have been there that day. I could have bumped into her. Yeah, we talk about how, I don't know, did you have more to talk about on like Abbey Road and who she works with?
I do not.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to talk about, like, she talked about this was like a, a hangover song, but she also says it's getting through something or seeing the light at the end of a tunnel, which is what this song very, very much feels like. And I just wanted to say, like, I feel that so hard when I think of this song and I think about like kicking dirt over 2022. The way I feel and envision myself when I listen to this song, it's kind of like Andy Dufresne coming out of the shit pipe in Shawshank,
Yeah.
but it's never that scene. It's more John Goodman being birthed from the mud in Raising Arizona. Like,
Yes.
like where he's like, his head comes out through the mud and he's screaming like a newborn child, and then he comes out of that mud and then he just stands there in the rain and he's like, ah! And I'm like, that's what I feel. That's what I'm like. Fuck 2022, new year, being birthed
Yep.
out of a shit tunnel, and it's gonna be better from now on.
There's something about these kinds of like joyful female exaltations that resonate with me more than they do with men. Like obviously, like U2 is my favorite band, and Bono is all about this like religious exuberance and the mighty yelping and everything like that. So I do respond to it, but like in male music, there's always like there's an anger behind it, or a sexual threat or something like that isn't there in women, and it's the absence of that brings like it's a pure joy to my ear. I don't.
The one song that I will say is an exception to that, because I do agree with you, is Four Non Blondes' What's Going On. I feel like she does the male, frustrated, almost violent scream.
For sure. Yeah.
Which that song is cathartic. That's why that song was so popular. Everybody wanted to scream along with that, especially when she hits it hard at the end.
Oh, I still do. Yeah.
Good. It's good.
Yes. That'll never be a deep cut. That song's always going to be with us.
Always good. It's so good. And I get like annoyed when people do it at karaoke. I'm like, no, this is all our private song, our private car song. Let's leave this out of karaoke. I'm looking at my notes. I had some stuff highlighted. Just things that she had said about it. Okay, Florence told the story of the song to MTV News. I think I came out of the studio with a bit of a hangover, and it was one of those strange days where you're not really sure where the song comes from. And she explained that Paul Epworth just had these chords on the organ, and they sounded optimistic and sad at the same time. And I was thinking of regrets, like, when you feel like you're stuck in yourself, you keep repeating certain patterns of behavior and you kind of want to cut that part out of your life and restart. And I'm like, yeah, you nailed it, because that's what everybody feels when you hear this song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially in the middle of the winter in the new year.
Yeah. Yeah. After like a rough year and then a rough ending to the year, I'm like, did we have to cap off my year like that? Is that what I need? Was that my rock bottom? Like, fuck, all right, let's move on.
You're going to grow through a near-death experience.
Yeah. It puts a lot of things in perspective, I'll tell you that. A lot of clarity after that on what's important and what isn't. All right, this is a long episode, so let's move it on. I'm really excited to see 6 Degrees of the Clash. We have decided on 6 Degrees of the Clash with Jeremy Essig, so let's watch together.
Hey friends, welcome to a new year of 6 Degrees and a new studio with a new band to showcase. This podcast's namesake, The Clash. And while I like the suggestion of the Highwaymen, I worry that too often, to get to pop artists, we'd have to go through Rick Rubin, who's currently being studied on another podcast. I also super love the idea of the Traveling Wilburys, but I saw it late, so maybe mid-year shift? Regardless, we start the year by looking for a connection between The Clash and Florence and the Machine. And rather than looking at Florence Welch, I'm going to instead focus on the band's other namesake, The Machine, or as her parents named her, Isabella Summers. In addition to her work with Florence, Summers has produced and written with a variety of other artists, including collaborating with LP on the song Torch, which appeared in the movie Rock the Casbah. Yes, out of the gate we stumble upon a movie, much like this podcast, named after a Clash song. Yet the soundtrack contains no Clash songs. Have no fear, though, as this LP, not to be confused with the Run the Jewels member, has a long history of collaborations, including her debut album, which featured co-writing by members of Cracker, not to be confused with the Kid Rock Lackey. This version of Cracker, David Lowery and Johnny Hickman, often tour with Lowery's first band, Camper Van Beethoven, whose live show features a medley combining Black Flag's Wasted with White Riot by The Clash. So this week we went Florence the Machine to LP to Camper Van Beethoven to The Clash. Back to Dianne and Ben.
Camper Van Beethoven.
I know.
I haven't heard that name in 20 years.
I know. It's one of those bands that I always heard people talking about around me, and I always really liked the name, and I never listened to one song. I don't know anything they sing.
No, I don't either, but I'm going to find out. We're going to start deep cutting them. I'm trying to change the soundtrack for all the cool kid bars. And that's my goal for this year.
Oh,
I know it's
nice.
kind of lofty, and it's lofty bullshit and pretentious, but every place I go to, I'm just like, yeah, we're guys, we're all playing the same music. Like that has to stop. Either we all have to play different music, or we just have to decide we're changing the soundtrack to this city right now.
I like it. Do it.
I don't know.
All right. What is your deep cut this week?
We Don't Need Another Hero by Tina Turner.
We don't need another hero. We don't need to know the way home. All we want is life beyond the Thunderdome.
That song, it's a feminist banger, man. Like I looked up the lyrics because it's from the movie Mad Max Beyond
Yes.
Thunderdome. So I remember, because the song is like literally like in brackets titled Thunderdome. So I thought the song would be like specifically about Mad Max. It's not. It is a really feminist anthem. Like I was playing it at the bar that I work at yesterday. And this is how grandiose and shitty like my imagination of myself in my head can get. I'm just like, I'm going to run for Congress against Dan Crenshaw, and this is going to be my theme song. I'm just going to get into a statement where we don't need another hero. Like, it's exactly your mindset that is fucking this all up.
I love it. That's great.
But I listened to it, like I played it a couple of times. Like I played it at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I played it again at like 9:30 after everything had changed over. So I'm playing it through for the second time, and I was talking to this girl. It's just like, this is one of my favorite songs, and she's just like, I've never heard this before. It's like, oh yes, you have. You just don't know if you've heard it yet. Like when that chorus comes around, and Tina Turner's great big voice, that we don't need it. Like, oh, yes,
Love
you can
it.
just feel everybody lift up in the room.
I was gonna say, what's the reaction in the bar when you play it? Do girls kind of like perk up like meerkats, like, fuck yeah, we don't need another hero?
Yeah, they really do. They really do. When I played it at 4:30, there's a woman that comes in very regularly. She's a friend of mine. On her way out the door, she's like, I'm gonna have We Don't Need Another Hero stuck in my head all day. It's like, you're welcome. She's like, I know.
And I'm good with it. Yeah. Just don't ever play Luca by Suzanne Vega.
Nope.
That's the earworm that it will make you want to slit your wrists.
I will stay away from that one. What's your deep cut?
My deep cut, I talked about it last episode, where you did the Fade to Gray by Visage because the video is so bad. And I talked about it then. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to do mine. It's one of my favorite songs to dance to at numbers. And I know I say that with a lot of my deep cuts. I have my favorites, and it's so electronic 80s. And it's Gary Numan, and the song is called Change Your Mind.
Change your mind, nothing ever stays the same. Change your mind, no never plays a game. Change your mind.
And he collaborates with this guy named Edward Sharpe. And it's just one of these dark, gothy videos and songs, and it's so 80s and high contrast. And what's funny is, he's dressed in his very 80s stuff, and he's got white makeup and black lipstick. And I was laughing because he looks just like Jim Parsons from Big Bang Theory if he were to dress up all goth. It's really funny.
It wouldn't surprise me if Jim Parsons does that. He's a Houston boy. Maybe you've danced with goth Jim Parsons at numbers.
Easily could have, because especially at his time at Axiom, when he was with the what's the troupe that he was with, the acting troupe. I went and saw so many of their shows. I should have.
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize you had such a close brush with him.
Yeah. They and in college we did a project with the group, and he was already gone by then. But yeah, he's from here, and he's probably into the same type of music. Easily could have danced next to him at numbers.
Yeah.
All right, but and obviously, hopefully, I've already posted that song in that video. But it's one of my, when the screen drops down at numbers and that song comes on, it's one of those, if I'm sitting on the stands having a drink. I'm like, here we go. Like, I love this song. I love how weird it is. I love it.
Perfect.
Okay, next week, I'm not sure yet if we're going to have an episode for you. And if we are, though, it's going to be your choice. So you need to start thinking about a song. I'm having elective surgery tomorrow, and I've been told that the recovery isn't too bad, but I'm not sure if I'll be ready to podcast before next Monday. So maybe we'll have something for you. If not, just wish me well in my recovery.
You'll be fine. I believe in you.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it. Welcome back. Happy New Year, guys. Shake off 2022 and let's move on.
Oh, and Vogue.
1, 2, 3.
Rock the Cash Bar is produced by Dianne Gallagher, music by Chuck Savage and Eddie Hawkins. Special thank you to Jeremy Essig for 6 Degrees and to Sarah Wessling for the Guilty Pleasures vocals. Our website is rockthecashbarpodcast.com, and there you can find links to our Spotify playlist and to our Patreon. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.